Hello, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to continue on with painting some HeroQuest miniatures from Rise of the Dead Moon expansion pack, and we're going to continue on with showing some beginner techniques to help you get your miniatures painted up quickly and on the table. So I was going through the box and deciding on what to paint next, and I decided on the Mercenaries. Now there are 4 of them, and I thought that they would be good candidates for this technique. Basically, I'm just going to start off by priming them black, because this technique is going to give them more of a grittier, grim dark, if you will, kind of look to them. Where the last technique with the speed paints, the colors were more vibrant and bright. These are going to be dingy and dark, but they're kind of perfect for a dungeon type setting. And all that we're going to do is put down a base coat on all of the different parts here. They're going to look really ugly for the vast majority of this. Just putting down base coats on all of the different parts, it even made me hesitate to keep going with this guy. I almost thought like, oh, maybe I should strip this and start over and try a different technique. But trust me in this, they're going to go through a really ugly phase until we get through the process. So just go through, put down a nice thin layer of a base coat on all of the different parts. You don't have to be super careful here because when we do our oil wash, it's going to cover up a lot of these, a lot of the mistakes or anything that you might make. So this process, it shouldn't take too long. You don't have to be super careful. As I said, the wash is going to cover up a lot of it and hide any mistakes. But just go through and put a layer on everything that you want to stand out. Because in this method here, we're not going to go any further, such as highlighting the figure for this one. Maybe in the next models that we do, we'll take it up a notch and we'll do the oil wash or an acrylic wash, and then we'll go forward and we'll add some highlighting or something at the end. But for each of these batches that I'm doing, I kind of want to do different techniques and take them up different levels. So if you're happy with just doing an oil wash, you can stop here and be completely done with them. Or if you want to continue on and do highlighting or pick out more of the details, that's totally fine as well. And I want to compare all of them as we go along so that you can sort of pick out which method works best for you and which one you prefer. And hopefully it'll help you decide on how you want to paint your miniatures. But you can kind of fly through these miniatures putting down just the base coat on them. Now, of course, you want to pick out the different parts, so it might take a little bit of time, but you're batch painting these while you have the green out. You can paint all of the characters that have green cloaks. You can paint all of them that have green pants, whatever you want. Pull out the blue. You can kind of paint all of the different blue parts on them. But this makes it really easy to just kind of get a bunch of them done quickly and without being too careful on everything as well. And if you like these kind of videos, you know, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you're interested in any of the products that I use, I also have Amazon links that are in the description. So please feel free to check those out. They don't cost you anything extra, and it just helps out the channel a little bit. And as I go through these different batches, I have to say I'm really happy with how these guys are all turning out. They are all painted differently, but not so drastically that you can't play them all together. So I think that it's really fun just trying out these different techniques. I have to say it's really helped me as a painter, I feel, trying out these different techniques. I feel like it's really improved my painting skills. It's kind of forced me to try different things. And some of these are really good for fast painting, which when I did a lot of commissions, some of these techniques could have really helped me out because I really usually always painted putting down tons of different layers, highlighting, washing, doing another highlighting after it was done. And each miniature took me a long time. I wish that I would have tried some of these faster techniques sooner. I think it would have really helped me out. But you know, it is what it is, and that's one great thing about the hobby is you're always learning something new, some new technique, and it just kind of keeps it interesting. And that's one thing too, is trying out these different techniques. It just kind of keeps it keeps it fresh. You're not getting kind of burnt out or tired of the same old thing. So I hope that these videos are helping somebody get their miniatures painted up and on the table. Because I know a lot of times you can be intimidating if you're just starting out, but these techniques that I show, a lot of them are very simple, and you just have to kind of get to the end of it. As I said, these guys are going to go through a really ugly phase, but they're going to turn out okay in the end. And you just kind of got to push through it and trust that you're going to get there. Now, once we got our base layers all finished, you can see here that you could put these guys on the table, but we can do so much more with just a little bit more effort into it. It's not going to take a lot of work to get these guys to the next level, so I highly encourage you to kind of keep going with this. If you've made it this far, these guys look terrible, in my opinion, but we're going to fix that real soon. Now what we're going to do next is called an oil wash, and all you're going to need is some black oil paint, and you're going to need some oil paint thinner or mineral spirits. I like to use the low odor just because this stuff is pretty toxic, and I don't want to really keep smelling it, but I don't really have a good recipe or an exact amount that I use. I just kind of put down a gob of the black oil paint first, and then I use a transfer pipette to take some of the thinner out and put it in a separate section, and then I'll slowly mix the two together depending on how dark and thick that I want the wash to be. Usually I want it like a consistency of ink, so it's not real thick. Now you know, it's up to you. If you want your guys really dark, you can continue adding on the oil paint into the mix, and you're going to get something really thick, and then we're going to remove some of the excess later on. So if that's how you want to go, that's fine. I like mine a little more runny, maybe like, as I said, like an ink consistency. So we're just going to slowly mix this up. Okay, and now all we're going to do is just completely wash over the entire miniature. I'm going to put a pretty healthy wash over top of all of them, because as I said, we can always come back and we can remove the excess from them. So just covering the entire miniature, and this oil wash, it does a fantastic job of running into all of the recesses, and it's going to add a lot of shading in there with very little work. Okay, after about 15 to 30 minutes of letting these guys dry a little bit, they won't be completely dry because this oil takes a long time, but this will be enough for it to sort of grab onto the miniature enough. We're going to get some makeup sponges, and these guys are super inexpensive. It's like $1.50 for a whole bag of them, and these sponges are like really soft, so that's something that's going to help us out in this next step. Now, me being frugal, I usually cut them in half if I only have a few miniatures to do, just so that I don't waste a whole sponge or anything. I'm going to get some clean thinner and put it in a separate section here, and I'm just going to dip the sponge in there. I like to do this. I feel like it helps remove some of the oil wash a little quicker, but you certainly don't have to. It all depends on how dark you want your miniatures. And what we're going to do is just very lightly now, you are going to just drag this over any area where you want the wash to be removed. And trust me, you don't have to put any pressure whatsoever on this. It'll take it off, and if you do go a little too rough, you're going to end up peeling the paint off of the layer below. So just take your time, be very gentle with it. You can always add a little bit more thinner to the sponge, and this will help it come off a little easier. But yeah, just keep going over it until you're happy with the amount of wash that you've removed and how bright you want your miniatures. And once you're all finished with this step, because as I said, these oil paints, they take a really long time to dry, so I usually just let these guys set overnight, and we'll come back to them tomorrow. Alright, these guys are all dry, and they are pretty much finished now. If you wanted to, you could actually add another, you could go in and start highlighting them now, or you could go in and pick out some of the details maybe that got covered up in the wash a little too much. For instance, all I did for these guys was I picked out the threads that are on the one's pants, just because they weren't showing up whatsoever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I'm just going to dress up the bases a little bit so that they follow suit with all of the other guys that we've done. I'm just going to paint on my tiles, and for this, just like before, I use a little bit of gray, brown, black, white paint, whatever I have around. I sort of just mix them together. I don't have a specific recipe or a specific color that I'm using. I want the tiles to look like they're just different from being different stones and from different being worn or walked on for years. So I don't have a specific color, and I want them to kind of be mixed up anyway. So I'm just going to put down a layer of this on there, Once this is dry, I'm just gonna get a thin brush and just paint on my tiles that I like. I like to put little cracks in them and maybe like little holes and such, like they've broken apart over the years. As I've said previously, you can do cobblestones or however else you want to do them. If you are not interested in the tiles, you can always just paint them a solid color and be done with them. And then we're just going to paint the rim of them black, and they are going to be completely done. So yeah, for just painting on basic layers on these guys and then doing a quick wash over top of them, I think they look really cool. They have like a nice dark look to them, which is totally appropriate for being a dungeon crawler. I mean, they have like a grimy, gritty, dark look to them, which I really like. I like my miniatures to look like they've actually been through some battles and just kind of have that grim, dark look to them. So I'm pretty happy with these guys. You could take it another step further, add your highlighting and such, but these guys are totally fine and they're going to look really good on the table. So, you know, if this is all you want to go, stop here. You're going to have some decent looking miniatures to play with. So I want to show you these guys now compared to the ones that we did the speed painting on and the ones that we did the Slapchop on. And you can see that they all kind of blend together. So yeah, I mean, out of these three here, you can pick which method you like the best, which one would work for you the best, and just go with it. You know, if you don't have speed paints and contrast paints and such, then I would say this method is really good because you can pick up the oil paint and the thinner, and it's really cheap. It doesn't cost a lot. Where you take speed paints, contrast paints, they all cost a good bit of money. So I hope that this series is helping you decide on how to easily get some miniatures painted up. Let me know in the comments if you like one over the other one. I still have some other techniques that I want to show off, and we have some more miniatures to paint, so I hope that you'll come back and take a look at those as well. So after all that, I want to say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.